It's late now, your body is tired, but your mind is still awake, still turning something over. Maybe it's a conversation from today, something you said that you wish you hadn't, or something you didn't say, and now you can't stop wondering if you should have. Maybe you're replaying the way someone looked at you, trying to decode it, trying to figure out what it meant. If tonight your mind keeps circling back to a room you left hours ago, a message you sent, a moment where you felt exposed, you are not alone in this. So many people lie awake, just like this, running through the day, searching for the exact place where they went wrong, even when nothing went wrong at all. Your mind may be exhausted, and still, it keeps scanning, keeps checking, keeps asking the same quiet question. Did they like me? Did I say too much? Did I say too little? Was I too quiet? Or too much? This is not weakness. This is simply what an exhausted, caring mind sometimes does. It keeps trying to protect you by searching for danger, even in moments that have already passed. Tonight, I want you to know something gently before we go any further. You do not have to solve your social life tonight. You do not have to figure out what they meant, or plan what you'll say next time, or replay it one more time until it finally makes sense. Tonight, there's nothing to fix. There's only rest. Let your shoulders soften, just slightly. Let your breath slow down, just a little. You are safe here, in this quiet space where no one is watching, no one is evaluating, no one is waiting for you to perform. It's just you, and the stillness of the night. And underneath all that replaying, underneath all that worry about being seen the wrong way, there's something quieter, waiting to be noticed. A question worth asking gently before sleep. Who exactly has been judging you all this time? Somewhere along the way, many of us built an invisible audience, a quiet crowd that seems to watch everything we do, noticing our mistakes, judging our words, waiting for us to slip. It can feel some nights like everyone remembers the moment you stumbled over your words, or laughed a little too loud, or went quiet at the wrong time. But here's something worth sitting with, gently, tonight. Most people are not thinking about you nearly as much as your mind insists they are. Not because you don't matter, but because they are living inside their own version of tonight, replaying their own conversations, worrying about their own moments. The audience you imagine watching so closely is often smaller than it feels, quieter than it feels, and far less permanent than it feels in the dark. There is an old idea, one that has quietly comforted people for centuries. It is the understanding that other people's opinions were never fully ours to manage. We can be kind, thoughtful, genuine, but we cannot control what someone else decides to think of us. Their judgment is shaped by their own history, their own mood, their own unfinished stories. It was never a complete reflection of who you are. It only reflects what they, in that one moment, were capable of seeing. This doesn't mean other people don't matter. It simply means their perception of you was never something you could fully control, no matter how carefully you tried. And maybe tonight, that thought can bring a strange kind of relief. Because if their opinion was never fully yours to manage, then it was never fully yours to carry either. You have spent so much energy trying to be understood correctly, trying to prevent every possible misreading. But what if some of that energy was spent fighting a battle that was never yours to win? What if the audience you feared was smaller, quieter, and far less certain than you imagined? And what if the loudest judge in the room was never someone else at all? What if it was a voice inside your own mind? There's an old teaching, simple but powerful, that can quietly change the way we carry ourselves through the world. It is the understanding that life is made of two kinds of things: the things within our control and the things outside of it. Your choices are within your control. Your actions, where you place your attention, how you respond when a moment feels uncomfortable, these belong to you. But other people's opinions, whether they like you, whether they misunderstand you, whether they remember the conversation the same way you do, these were never yours to hold. Think of walking into a room tonight, gently, in your mind. You can control how you enter with as much steadiness as you have available. But you cannot control how each person in that room interprets you. You can control the words you choose, but you cannot control how someone else hears them. You can control your intention when you send a message, but you cannot control how long they take to reply, or what they think while reading it. You can control whether you speak up in a conversation, or whether you stay quiet and let the moment pass. Both are valid. Neither one requires everyone's approval. For so long, maybe, you've tried to manage things that were never yours to manage. The impression you left, the way a silence was interpreted, whether someone walked away thinking well of you. That is an exhausting task, because it was never solvable to begin with. There is a different kind of effort available to you now, quieter and far more sustainable. Instead of trying to control how you're seen, you can simply focus on how you choose to act, with honesty, with care, with whatever courage you have available, even if it's small. That is enough. That was always enough. And when you set down the impossible task of managing everyone's perception, you may notice something quieter underneath. The real tension you've been feeling may not have come from the people around you at all. It may have been coming from somewhere else, somewhere closer, somewhere inside your own mind. Late at night, the mind likes to rehearse. What if they laughed at what I said? What if I sounded strange? What if they didn't like me? What if I embarrass myself tomorrow? These thoughts can feel so real, so urgent, so certain. But here is something worth noticing gently tonight. A thought is not the same thing as a fact. It is a prediction, a guess, a story the mind tells, often built from fear rather than evidence. Your mind may be very good at imagining worst-case scenarios, but being good at imagining something does not mean it is true. Tonight, when a worried thought arrives, you don't have to fight it. You don't have to argue with it or prove it wrong or chase it away. You can simply notice it, the way you might notice a cloud passing overhead. There it is, that thought again, and then let it continue moving. You are not obligated to follow every thought to its most painful conclusion. You are allowed to observe a thought without immediately believing it. This is a quiet kind of strength, the ability to let a thought exist without letting it become your reality. Notice tonight how many of your worries are about things that haven't happened yet. A a conversation that hasn't occurred, a judgment that hasn't been spoken, an embarrassment that exists only in your imagination. You have been carrying tomorrow's imagined pain as if it were tonight's truth. But tonight you can gently set that down. You can let the thought come, acknowledge it softly, and let it pass like a wave reaching the shore and pulling back out to sea. You are not every thought you think. You are the quiet awareness behind them, watching, breathing, still here, still safe. And when you stop needing every thought to be resolved before you can rest, something else becomes possible. You may begin to notice that the fear driving so many of these thoughts was never really about being disliked. It was about needing to be perfect enough to never be questioned at all. For a long time, maybe, you've believed that being liked required being flawless, saying the right thing at the right time in exactly the right way, never stumbling, never sounding unsure, never letting anyone see the parts of you that feel uncertain. But perfection was never the price of belonging. It only felt that way because somewhere along the line, you learned to equate safety with being impressive. Tonight, I want to offer a gentler idea. Courage was never the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to show up, even while the fear is still present. Speaking, even when your voice feels unsteady. Walking into the room, even when your heart is racing. Staying in the conversation, even when you're not sure you're saying it right. That is not weakness. That is quiet, unglamorous courage. And it deserves far more credit than we usually give it. You do not need to perform a flawless version of yourself in order to deserve connection. You are allowed to be quiet in a group and still belong there. You're allowed to stumble over your words and still be worthy of the conversation. You're allowed to be misunderstood sometimes, because that is simply part of being human among other humans. Your worth was never measured by how flawlessly you performed today. It was never meant to rise and fall based on someone else's passing reaction. There is a quiet kind of freedom in living according to your own values, rather than trying to calculate what will make everyone approve of you. Being kind, being honest, showing up with whatever courage you have available. This is enough. This was always enough. You do not need universal approval to feel whole. You only need to be willing to be seen exactly as you are. And as the night grows quieter around you, maybe you can feel something settling, a little more space, a little less pressure. Because when you stop trying to be flawless for everyone watching, you finally have room to simply exist as yourself. Now gently, let's release what we've been carrying tonight. The conversation you keep replaying. Let it rest now. It has already ended. It does not need to be relived again. The person you're afraid of disappointing, let them rest too. You cannot control what they think of you. You never could. And that was never a failure on your part. The opinion you cannot manage. Let it go, quietly, like a leaf carried off by a slow current. It was never yours to hold. The mistake you wish you could undo, let it soften now. It does not define you. It was simply a moment, one moment, among many others you have lived. The future conversation you're already worrying about, let it wait. It does not need to be solved tonight. tomorrow will still be there, and you will be able to meet it one moment at a time, just as you always have, right now. There's only this, your breath, the quiet room around you, the soft weight of your body, sinking a little deeper into rest. You are allowed to be exactly as you are tonight. Imperfect, uncertain, sometimes, still learning how to move through the world. You do not need everyone's approval to feel whole. You do not need to be flawless to be worthy of rest. You are allowed to be seen without needing every person to understand you completely. And that is enough. Tonight, you don't have to manage anyone's perception. You don't have to rehearse tomorrow. You only have to breathe, slowly, quietly. Let your mind grow still the way the surface of water grows calm once the wind has passed. You are safe. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to simply be yourself. Nothing more required. Let the world think what it will. Tonight you are simply here, breathing, resting, letting go. Sleep now, gently, fully sleep.